that's how we've done that.
Pradeep sir, we are live on YouTube.
Okay, so we begin. So welcome to UNI, CUN Institute, and we started this live informal interactive sessions between the Institute and the alums. And this whole idea came about because in the past we've been having these face-to-face meetings, but after the COVID happened and we realized that it also expands us to reach out to far more people if we do online. And the second thing which happened is when we are looking at connecting, we always look back at our batchmates. And so the whole idea was that if we reach out with our alums through the batches, then it makes far more effective. And because we have the similar aspirations and we look at similar objectives many a times. And so we are here with you and the Institute, you and I, and this is our third session that we are doing. And this time we have 5 batches starting from 79, 81, 82, 91, and 92. So welcome all to join us for this session. All the batches and alums. And we have also people from the Institute who have joined us. Professor Kanandikar, Professor Ganesh, who is Deputy Director. We have Professor Bandyopadhyay. And we also have Kapil Kaul, who is CEO, IIT Development Fund. And I will now go through the agenda and run through the program that we have in front of us. So we start with the fireside chat with director, and he will be also sharing the presentation on the SMRT. Subsequently, we have the perspectives from the speakers from the participating batches in class of 79, 81, 82, 91, and 92, covering the healthcare industry, the regulation structure, the academic interaction, or how they propose that we can support. And some of the areas that we have in the past seen where people like to dive deeper when we're talking about either hospital or the research and technology with respect to medicine are the medical devices, the pharma, biotech, and healthcare IT. And although not restricted to this, these are some of the areas which people would be able to cover. Then we have also an update from our ITKDF, where we look at what are the progress that we made, what are the expectations, and what one can do from Kapil Kaul. Subsequently, Rajiv Sarup will take over the Q&A and interactions. And then we have Professor Jayant Singh. If he's able to join us, I think he's been suffering from fever. And if he is able to join us, he'll be doing the concluding. Otherwise, I would request Rajiv to conclude the session. We have had various people who have supported us in making it happen today. We have batch coordinators from 79, Madhu, and of course, Hemant was also there. Hemant has a family function going on today. We have Mukul, who is from 81, who's helped us with teams from his side, and Nirmal Sharm, 82 batch. We have Jay Rawat, 91, and Bratati, 92. And these are the people who've been helping us reach out to the batch members and get the right people in for our session today. And here are the speakers from across the batches. We have Prashant Tiwari, MD USV. He's been in Bombay and looking at the pharmaceutical side of. Hello. We have Kamlesh Dwivedi, President, Reline Venture Capital. Kamlesh has been also very active, and he's also visited us in Startup Masterclass that we did in IIT Kanpur 2 years back. We have Alok Agarwal, CFO Reliance. He's with us today. Atul Charan, founder and CEO CellMax Life. We have Anjali Joshi joining us from Bay Area, investor. She's ex-Vice President Google Products. and also been interested in healthcare startups. Ajay Gupta, who's an angel investor, and he has his own venture fund, Gupta Venture. We have Sriram. He's heading the research chair for University of British Columbia. Professor Rajat Mittal, he's with Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. We have Ashish Xavier, Vice President, Johnson Johnson Innovation Venture Fund, and they have also been looking at various healthcare ventures. And we have finally Sanjeev Rangras, Group Head R&D Sustainability and Project ITC. He's been long-termer at ITC. He's joining us today. So thank you all once again for joining today. And this leads us to talking really about the more about SMRT, and which takes us back to Professor Karandikar. And may I request Professor Karandikar to join us and share his perspectives. He joined us from, he was with IIT Kanpur earlier, then he went to IIT Bombay, and he'd been faculty there. And then we put him back to IIT Kanpur to head. So last 3 years almost now it's been. So I would like him to share his perspective and then share the thoughts around School of Medical Research and Technology. So please welcome Professor Karandikar.
Thank you, Pradeep. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to this U&I session. It has been a great success. The previous two sessions have been a great learning experience. And the purpose, as Pradeep mentioned, is to talk about our new initiatives on the School of Medical Research and Technology. So let me just share some slides so that, yeah. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
So before I talk about the School of Medical Research and Technology, let me just tell you that we have initiated several new initiatives. Our incubation is now consolidated under a new Section 8 company called Foundation for Innovation and Research in Science and Technology. We also have a research park, which is called IIT Kanpur Research and Technology Park, popularly called as Techno Park. Most recently, we have set up an IIT Kanpur Development Foundation, whose objective is actually to engage with alumni and other stakeholders for raising the resources. And so this will act like as a development office. And we have also set up a not-for-profit foundation for medical research and technology, about which I will talk in more details. So as far as the IITK DF is concerned, it will have a professional team, and I am happy to introduce Mr. Kapil Kaul, who joins here as the CEO. Kapil had more than 3 decades of experience in finance, banking, and previously he was working with the development office of IIT Bombay. And Kapil is there on this call. So Kapil, can you switch on your video and introduce?
Yes, sir. I'm very much here.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kapil, and I've joined recently as the CEO for IIT Kanpur's Development Foundation, and I will give you an update on the work that we've been doing with SMRT with regards to the fundraising for the project and how all of you can associate with it later during the course of this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Kapil. So let me just talk about our project on the School of Medical Research and Technology. But before that, I would just like to give you a perspective of what is the existing ecosystem for biomedical research and medtech innovations, on whose strength actually we plan to build the School of Medical Research and Technology. The Department of Biological Sciences and Bioengineering was formed in 2001, and today it has grown into a very strong department in the country doing basic research in life sciences and biological sciences. And many of my colleagues on this call are there. Professor Bushra Atiq is there. She was awarded the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in Medical Sciences last year in 2020. I have with me here Arun Shukla. I can also see Professor Nitin Gupta. And of course, the Deputy Director, Professor Ganesh, is also a professor in the Department of Biological Sciences and Bioengineering. And Professor Amitabha Bandyopadhyay, who is leading our incubation and innovation, is also a professor in the Department of Biological Sciences and Bioengineering. We set up several centers which are doing research related to healthcare, with Center for Nanosciences, National Center for Flexible Electronics. We have a very strong bio incubator as a part of our innovation and incubation systems. And many startups have been incubated. I will talk shortly about that. In 2018, we also initiated a clinical immersion partnership program with medical universities like King George Medical University of Lucknow and SGPGI of Lucknow, where our students, engineering students, closely work with doctors, particularly in the surgical setting like surgeons, and understand their difficulties and have gone and built several products and design tools which have helped the doctors. In 2018, we have set up a experimental animal facility to do the animal trials, and this is also one of its kind of facility in the IIT setup. Last 2019, we have set up a center for fabrication and testing of medical devices, which has again been funded by the Department of Biotechnology through BIRAC. In 2019, the Mehta Family Foundation from US had given very generous donation for setting up the Mehta Family Center for Engineering in Medicine. A new building is also coming up for housing this center. This center will be a part of our Department of Biological Sciences and Bioengineering. Last year, Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, has also set up centers of excellence in medical research in 3 academic institutions in the country, and IIT Kanpur is one of them. Department of Biotechnology has also funding a school for healthcare innovations and entrepreneurship. So you can see that in the last 20 years, we have done significant progress in basic research in biosciences and bioengineering, leading to several innovations in biomedical research and the medical technology. As is mentioned here, that IIT Kanpur is MTech program has been rated as #1, and also in terms of the citations per research, the institute is currently also as #1. There have been several research publications, patents, startups which have come out of the faculty of the biological sciences and bioengineering. As I mentioned, last year we have set up a Mehta Family Center for Engineering in Medicine, which is focusing on regenerative medicine, molecular medicine, and digital medicine, and also a School of International Biodesign, which is a joint program between IIT Kanpur and King George Medical University in Lucknow. In terms of medtech innovations and incubation ecosystem, in the last 5 years, about 13 plus startups have been incubated, and these startups have licensed many of the technologies in life sciences and medical type devices, which were developed as prototypes in IIT Kanpur labs. And these are in the area including from assistive technology, AI in telemedicine, medical implants, medical devices for screening and diagnosis, virtual reality in healthcare, and so on. Some of these startups are mentioned here, and these startups have attracted seed investments up to 100 crores in medtech domain. During the COVID pandemic, two of our startups have done phenomenally well. One, you may have read that an invasive mechanical ventilator by Noka Robotics has been now deployed in more than 900 hospitals across the country. And this was done as a consortium efforts of IIT Kanpur faculty, which was led by Professor Amitabh Bandyopadhyay, IIT Kanpur alumni, which was led by Shrikant Shastri, and several eminent industry professionals and medical professionals. Another startups like Swasa has set up a mask manufacturing facility based again on nanofibers, which was developed in IIT Kanpur. And this company has manufactured close to 25 lakh masks since last year, June, when it was set up. In fact, these masks have been, also been used by several leaders, including, our prime ministers. As far as the mechanical invasive ventilators are concerned, we have become one of the top 3 technology providers, in the country. The other 2 are, very big names in the industry. The third one is Noka Robotics, which is a IIT Kanpur startups. And this story has been written by both Shrikant and Amitabh in a forthcoming book, which will be released on 7th March. And the book is also available to be pre-ordered on Amazon. I would really encourage you to see how the IIT Kanpur consortium has built a world-class product during COVID-19. So as we can see here that we have a strong basic research, medtech research, world-class incubations, engineering in medicine, all pieces are there. But even with the thriving biomedical research activity, the lack of, and although we have a very strong collaborations with several medical universities like KGMU and SGPGI or AIMS, non-availability of samples and their degradation in transports, significant delay in immediate clinical validations. Again, we are restricted to using animal models, etc. Have sort of restricted our studies. And for that, we believe that if we have a clinical setting and medical doctors on the campus with a medical program, then we would be, filling the missing link. At the same time, it will provide an opportunity for medical professionals to take some deep dive into engineering practices, because next generation of medical diagnosis, treatment, and healthcare research is definitely going to have a strong engineering and technology interventions. And as a result, our proposed school can offer programs, for example, in cardiology, but the medical doctors can also earn minor in data science or computer science by doing few courses in CS or EE. Or one can do, for example, an oncology major with minor, let us say, in IoT, or one can do super specialization in radio diagnosis with minor in image processing and so on. These kinds of opportunity for medical professionals to earn minor degrees in interdisciplinary areas will exclusively possible in institute like IIT Kanpur, but not in any other medical institutions. Recall that medical institutions in India are standalone medical colleges or institutions, even in AIMS, unlike anywhere in the world, including in the US, where the medical and the engineering coexist. So our plan is to set up a school of medical research and technology with R&D centers of excellence in futuristic medicine, along with a clinical setting in the form of a super specialty hospital. In the initial phases, it is planned to be a 450-bed hospital. And as far as the academic programs are concerned, we will have a master's degree only, like super specialization, DNB, DM, or MCH. or MS PhD programs or MTech PhD programs. As far as the hospital is concerned, it will be run through a not-for-profit company, which I already mentioned in my first slide, that is Foundation for Medical Research and Technology. Then going forward in phase 2, we may go for an undergraduate degree, but we have not yet taken any decision on this. So this phase 1 is proposed to be built in next 3 to 5 years. As a part of the phase 1, we will only have a super specialty. We are not going to have a undergraduate program or a teaching hospital. So therefore, these will be the departments: urology, neurology, neurosurgery, cardiology, cardiosurgery, gastroenterology, nephrology. And these will be the centers of excellence that will be set up, which will leverage the biomedical and healthcare expertise that exists in our engineering departments. Of course, BSB is doing basic research in healthcare, but we also have computer science, electrical engineering, material science.
So it's if you the function is X.
Sorry, is there a question? Okay. So the proposed site of this super specialty hospital and the School of Medical Research is on the 25 acres of greenfield land, which has been identified. And as you can see on the map, this is the main gate, main entrance from here. And this is on the other side of the campus. So as far as the patients and entry to the school or hospital is concerned, this will be on this gate on the other side. In fact, very likely this might become the main gate in near future, given the congestion on this road here. But nevertheless, the patients don't have to come from all the way from main gate and pass through the campus, but they can come from this side. This is a proposed, architectural plan. We had engaged with a consulting company, HOSMEC, which had prepared the feasibility report and the detailed project report for the School of Medical Research. And in fact, they are working on the design of the entire school. We have a very eminent advisory board. We are being advised by Dr. Devi Shetty, who, as you know, is an eminent cardiothoracic surgeon, very internationally acclaimed, and he's a chairman and founder of Narayana Health. He has been closely working with us in guiding us and mentoring. Dr. Maman Chandy, who is a leading oncologist and currently the director of Tata Medical Center, Kolkata. And then we have, of course, Mrs. Sudha Murthy, Mr. Ram Durai from Tata Trust, Mr. Arun Seth, one of our distinguished alumnus and who also happens to be on the board of Narayana Health, Mr. Rakesh Sharma and Mr. Saurabh Chandra. So Arun, Rakesh and Saurabh, they are all our alumni who have been closely working and guiding us. In fact, Arun Seth is also a member of our task force and has been supervising many of the activities of the proposed school. So how all of you can collaborate with this institute? I'm sure you can help us forge world-class international collaborations in the broad area of medical sciences and healthcare research. You can, of course, donate financially to the SMRT or take the institute to potential donors. We plan to build this entire thing with the support from the alumni and the corporates, CSR funds. We have not yet approached the government. And of course, in return, IITK is willing to brand name the school and the COEs and the hospitals and so on. As per the DPR, which was prepared by the HOSMEC, in the phase 1, we need about 450, but we may go up to 500 crores. So this is an estimated cost, which of course includes the cost of the building, the equipments, and also running the entire setup for the next 3 to 5 years till it becomes, self-sustaining project. Professor Ganesh, who is also the deputy director, is chairing the task force. He's there on the call. So you can contact him. Kapil Kaul has already introduced himself. He's the CEO of IIT Kanpur Development Foundation. Mr. Rajiv Saroop, who is also on the call, our alum, and many of you know him. He's also advising in this project in terms of his role as strategy and outreach. He has, in fact, has been instrumental in organizing this U&I sessions also along with Pradeep. And of course, Jayant, all of you know that he's a Dean of Resources and Alumni. So any of them will be happy to help you. And of course, if needed, you can of course contact me at any time. So this is just a brief overview. I have here with me my colleague who can perhaps talk more about that. About the basic research in biological sciences, including cell biology, neuroscience, and I have Professor Bushra Atiq, who has been doing fundamental research in prostate cancer. So maybe they can talk about their research. But we believe that given the fact that we have a very strong research, basic research in life sciences, the sort of having a clinical setting and the presence of doctors and our strong programs in engineering, will be able to create a world-class school of medical research and technology. Thank you very much. Yes, Pradeep, over to you. I think, Pradeep, you have to unmute.
Yeah, sorry. So thank you, Professor Karnikar, and great to have you, share this journey once again. And as we see, we are really looking at making this institute once again lead us into global excellence. So one of the questions which has come is, will it take us back to the way we were diverse, with the faculty and students all over from India and abroad? What is the kind of perspective you see as we build this SMRT?
Yes, I think it will be diverse. In fact, we are already talking to several international universities and also some of the top doctors who are, of course, Indians, who are willing to actually come and spend time here, including, many of the well-known clinicians and researchers from India also. But we will be also open to more international collaborations and forge, collaborative research. So also the proposed school will work closely with many of the existing departments, but also some of the new departments that we have set up. For example, last year we have also established the new department of cognitive sciences, which is having faculty having as diverse background as psychology to computer science. So I think that is also a new department that has been set up.
Yeah, so I think the way we see diversity is going to definitely bring a much more rich, culture within the institute. Another question which has been coming up is, are we really ready for such an initiative? So what are the resource requirements that would make us happen? Something which is existing with us and something which more we need. So would you like to touch upon that?
So there are two types of resources. One is, of course, we need the funding. As I already said, that we are to raise the money for the school entirely from the donors and the industry. And as I already mentioned, our requirements in the phase one is of the order of 450 crores, something like about 60 million US dollars. So that is one part of the resources. Thanks to the generous support from many alumni and stakeholders, we are in advanced stage of discussions with many of them, and Kapil can elaborate more on this later. The other resources that we need is a strong partnerships and collaborations with universities and also with the medical device professionals and industry, because We would like this to be a synergistic relationships between the basic research in biological sciences, the medical device technology, and a super specialty clinical setting. So yes, I mean, we would look forwards to both of that.
Okay, thanks. And I think you also spelled out what we are really looking from the alums. So one is possibly collaboration, second possibly fund, possibly participation in areas that they could give their inputs and be part of us. And just before we go to the next question, how has been your experience with this two sessions of UNI, and what has been the progress in time from your perspective?
So the program, I mean, it has been really great. As I mentioned that we could, it was as a result of these, the previous two U&I sessions that we could get to some very potential donors, number one. And I'm sure after this session, we will be perhaps, closing all our funding requirements. So that is number one. Number two is that we were also introduced to some healthcare companies which are very interested in collaborating with IIT Kanpur. In fact, as I mentioned that we are setting up these centers of excellence. By the way, I just wanted to tell you that in the phase one, the School of Medical Research and Technology, the academic and research part and the centers of excellence will be part of the IIT Kanpur academics. So therefore, it is proposed that in the phase one, the School of Medical Research will have about 50 to 60 faculty doctors who will be like faculty members of IIT Kanpur. But the hospital as such will not be, a part of IIT Kanpur, but will be run by a separate not-for-profit company. So therefore, the entire hospital staff, they will be the employees of the these Foundation for Medical Research and Technology. So these centers of excellence we are planning to set up. For example, Center of Excellence for AI and Telemedicine, Centers of Excellence for Infectious Diseases, Centers of Excellence for Medical Implants, which can have a very strong collaborations with our engineering departments, and also I believe many of the industries, both in the medtech domain as well as in the healthcare and pharma domain.
Okay, I think, and that brings us to a right perspective overall. Now we have more Q&A later with you. You mentioned some of the research professors are here. Would you like any one of them to share their thoughts?
Yeah, so maybe I will request Professor Bushra and Professor Arun Shukla if they can just talk about 2 minutes, and maybe very brief, like 2 minutes. And I'm not sure whether Nitin is also there. So maybe we can begin with Professor Bushra. Maybe 2 minutes. You can just.
So, hello.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bushra.
We can hear you, Bushra. Thanks so much, Professor Karandikar. So basically, like my group work more on basic plus translation medicine, translation research. So we are collaborating with different hospitals around Kanpur. We are collaborating with local GSVM hospital, King George Medical University, Lucknow, and AIIMS New Delhi. And recently we started collaboration with Tata Medical Center, both at Kolkata and Mumbai. So the group is primarily interested in looking at the genetic and epigenetic changes that trigger cancer. Especially we are focusing more on prostate, and we are also studying how it is spread to the other body part, and usually it happens at this advanced stage. So now our goal is to kind of like catch these molecular changes which drive the cancer and trigger is metastasis or spread to other body parts. So by using these clues, the idea is to develop more effective therapies against specific pathway that fuel to the cancer growth. And as we know, like it's a genetic disease, so there are a lot of abnormalities in the genes, which are also known as gene signature. So one signature may be unique for one cancer patient and a particular stage of cancer. So the goal is to develop a diagnostic test that could be used to detect cancer at early stage and decide the therapies for cancer patients, especially patients from India, because recent studies in genomics reveal that around 37% of the genes, SNPs to be in particular, are very specific to Indian cohort. And our group is also working on a minimally invasive diagnostic tool by using cell-free tumor DNA. So the whole idea is to screen patients which have symptom of prostate cancer at early stage, so that the treatment is better for them. The cancer care is better. So the whole idea is to use clinically relevant gene abnormalities which may have some role to play in drug resistance also, because what happened for prostate cancer at advanced stage, these patients, they stop responding to therapies such as anti-androgen therapy. So at least by looking at these abnormalities, we know who are the patients who will respond to the therapy and which group is not going to respond. Beside that, my group is also developing patient-derived organoids. So these organoids are their tiny sphere of cancer cells which we drive from cancer patient, and we grow these cancer spheres in a incubator, and use these sphere to test certain drugs which may be a potential candidate. So the whole idea is to get more accurate drug predictability. So we know, okay, if we use this drug against this particular signature, this drug is going to work for a particular patient or not. So this is an overview.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bushra. I think I just wanted to say that Dr. Bushra was awarded the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in Medical Sciences last year. So she's a very acclaimed scientist, internationally renowned, I would say. And the second, I think I would like, maybe Nitin is there, Nitin Gupta? Nitin. So Nitin, those of you who know that he did his BTech in computer science from IIT Kanpur. If I'm not mistaken, Nitin, you were JEE number 1. Is that correct? Yes. So he was All India rank 1 in JEE. He did his
that's not easy.
Yes,
that's not easy.
He did his BTech in computer science from IIT Kanpur, but then he switched to biology, and he now does, and then he did his PhD, not in computer science, but in biology, and is now a professor in the Department of Biological Sciences and Bioengineering. So he does also very fundamental research. Maybe Nitin, you can just speak in 2 minutes, I think. We don't have much time. So he does very exciting work. It will require probably 30 minutes to talk, but if you can just summarize in 2 minutes. Nitin, you have to unmute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So thanks. I'm working broadly in 2 areas. First is basic neuroscience, in which we are trying to understand how sensory information is represented in the brain. And we are using a simple model organism for this. So the insect sense of smell. And in particular, I'm looking at mosquitoes. So when mosquitoes bite humans, they use our sense of smell to find us. And it's not known why our smell becomes attractive in their brain and why other smells, like the smell of Odomos, acts as a repellent. And we're trying to understand by doing the recordings from mosquito brains while they are smelling different odors, that how are these smells processed in their brain and how the behavior is decided. And in an applied line of research that I started after returning back, we are trying to develop software-based interventions for mental health problems. So, for example, for mild depression or anxiety, we're trying to give cognitive behavioral therapy through automated software.
So I just wanted to, I mean, Nitin was very modest in saying, but that software that has been developed is like very heavily sort of has been also undergone trial. And so I think, thank you, Nitin. And maybe if Pradeep, we have time for one more, and then we can take Arun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Arun, if you are there, yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arun Shukla, and we are primarily working on visualizing biomolecules, especially drug targets, which are protein molecules present in our cells at high resolution. And the long-term vision is to utilize this information to design better drugs which have lesser or no side effects. And I'm very happy to be a part of this session today because I see that Professor Sriram Subramaniam is in the call, and he is one of the leading figures in the area of cryo-electron microscopy. And he'll be glad to hear that we are setting up a high-end cryo-EM setup here at IIT Kanpur, one of its kind in the country. And that has been recently approved by SERB DST. So I look forward to interacting more with Professor Subramaniam towards this facility.
Yes, thank you, Arun. So I think I just wanted to let you know that Arun is setting up this facility. I think it requires an investment of about 25 crores. And we have been able to secure this funding very recently. So again, in India, I think it is one of its kind facility in the country. So so thank you, Arun. I think over to Pradeep. Of course, we have Ganesh also here. Ganesh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
So whole, I think the presentation is being driven by Ganesh, deputy director. But he is also a very well-known professor in neuroscience in the country. So
yeah, so thank you, Professor Karnikar, Arun, Professor Bushra, and Nitin. So great to have your perspectives, and we will have more Q&A later, which Raji will take us through. But now I would like to begin the U part, the U as alum, and we would like to hear their perspectives. But before we start, I would also like to introduce our new elected president, Shamendra. Shamendra is here. Please welcome Shamendra. Yeah, we can hear you, Shamendra. So congratulations and welcome to you and I. And it is your batch day. So your batch is here. So glad to see you. I would now take through our speakers. And I don't know if Prashant Tiwari was able to make it. He was not feeling well. So Prashant is managing director of USP Private Limited. And he has a multinational presence in pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and they are focusing on diabetes and cardiovascular area. So he wanted to share some of his perspectives. Fundamentally, that he would like to have a very focused, approach as far as medical research is concerned, and if the institute can identify really 2-3 areas where we must become the global number one. And from his side, modern mRNA-based vaccine platform and diagnostics are very relevant to Indian needs, and it would be great if we look at them. And building deep expertise in that area is critical. So this is his message. He's not able to make it, but I'm sure we'll be able to have a follow-up meeting with him later. I would go to the speaker who is with us today, Kamlesh Dwivedi. So Kamlesh is based in US, and he is president and general partner at 3 Lines Venture Capital based out of Denver. And his current investment interests are both in US and in India. So please welcome Kamlesh Dwivedi for our first speaker from alum side. Kamlesh.
Me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, good. So, thank you, Pradeep. And yesterday, when I got a call from my classmate Madhu from Hyderabad, she said, "Well, Kamlesh, tomorrow is a meeting, and I have to speak there." So I was torn for a while that how can I prepare anything to speak? So I don't have a deck prepared for the talk today. Just want to walk you guys through some venture capital related investment we have made in a medical industry or healthcare industry, and give you some intro to 3 Lines as well. So starting with 3 Lines Venture Capital, we are a 4 years old company, started out of Denver, Colorado in USA. I am the president and general partner there for almost 4 years since beginning of the company. We invest in early stage companies, typically with a revenue range of $1 million to $10 million. And we are very broad industry-based investment thesis we have. But largely we invest in AI and machine learning enabled software platform, solutions, and applications. We invest in US and India only, although in Fund 1, we did invest in a company in Australia as well. But now we are focused upon only 2 countries, and these are the countries we know the most and the best. There's India and the US. So far, we have built a portfolio of 20 early stage companies in the last 4 years. Their total aggregate and projected revenue this year is going to be slightly more than $303 million, which is a great achievement for our team. And we'll be happy to know that 4 of the partners are IIT Kanpur alumni, 4 of us. And our chairman is in the USA from IIT Kanpur as well. So 5 of us are from IIT and 4 from IIT Kanpur, as I said earlier. Today, I am very proud to attend the inaugural session of the SMRT, the School of Medical Research and Technology. This is indeed an exciting area with a lot of possibilities and opportunities for the society and for the country and for the globe as well, by the way. I am most familiar with the US system, not much with the Indian system from a healthcare point of view. So in the US, the healthcare industry is approximately $3 trillion to $4 trillion. A year ago, $3.5 trillion was the latest data I saw, is the total spend rate or expense on the healthcare industry. So you can see in the USA, if you look at the total GDP of slightly more than $16 trillion, roughly $3.5 to $4 trillion is coming from the health-related industries. And that includes everything, the pharmaceutical, the insurance, the hospitals, the doctors, counting everyone. So almost 1/3 to 1/4 to 1/5 of the US GDP is related to the healthcare expenditure, basically. And there has been a lots of focus in USA to move towards what is being called a patient-centric model. And in that model, B2B, B2C, and B2B2C. So what we are investing right now and looking at opportunities to invest is mostly in the B2B2C areas. That's where we see some traction or good traction. In a complex industry like healthcare in USA, it is easy to make a business case, but it's difficult to move from business case to a business model to a business revenue or a revenue model. So how does a startup company move from a case to a business model and to a revenue model? That has been very, very challenging for B2C, those startup companies who are trying to go to consumers directly. So we are focused on business to consumer, B2B2C startup companies in the healthcare industry. It will be also important to note that most of us forget, and we talk about cost, how much it's costing in the healthcare industry cost, and it keeps increasing. But the way I put it is that one man's cost is other man's revenue, or one person's cost is other person's revenue. So actually, look at the overall economy. Cost is big. Guess what? The GDP goes up as well. So it would be very, very important to understand that innovation can play a big role in not only improving the cost models or cost parameters, but also to provide high quality services. And I believe that B2B2C model will really do wonderful things in the medical healthcare industry. So it is a very complex situation in the USA involving many major players, the providers, the payers, the patients, the pharmaceutical industry as well, and the government rules, laws, regulations. They are the overarching layer overseeing the healthcare industry. No one wants to damage, basically, the way it is in USA right now. Just like the lots of political noise about National Rifle Association in USA, no one can really change the healthcare industry in a big way because no one wants to damage the $4 trillion here. No one wants to do that. It's very difficult to unravel a highly sophisticated and complex industry in the USA. So people keep talking about the cost for years to come, for decades to come, and the new innovations, new startup companies will keep getting born to try to solve that issue. Three Lines is playing its role in investing early stage companies in the healthcare industry as well. I will give you an example of two companies we have invested around the globe. One is a company called Precision, Presage. Precision is out of Australia. This company, what they do, they use AI based upon image analysis. So they are using the image analysis of in vitro fertilized human eggs, basically, human embryos at a very, very early stage to improve the chances of them being successful. So Precision's first product or first flagship product has been launched. It's called Life Whisperer. It has been launched in UK, Europe, and also they have a distribution dealership deals in India as well. So what Life Whisperer does, improves the chances through in vitro fertilization. They are using a highly sophisticated AI and machine learning algorithm to look at the newly fertilized egg under a microscope and the image of that and analyze that. And they are able to improve 40 to 60% chances. The improvement is by 40 to 60% in terms of successful viability of the in vitro fertilized egg. The second company is from USA. In fact, that company is from Denver, Colorado. That company is PharmaJet. It's a very interesting company. What they do, they have found a way to use the fluid mechanics technology to inject medication and vaccine without needle. So there's no needle at all. It's a needle-free injection. Maybe I shouldn't call it an injection, but they're calling it needle-free injection, using fluid mechanics technology to inject medicine and vaccine both. So now we know that many people are scared of needles. I was one of them when I was a kid in middle school, going to school in Bihar. I used to run away, basically. When you see the people coming with big needles, I used to run away. So now this innovation they have done, PharmaJet has done, you don't need to pierce the skin at all, and they can inject intramusculations and vaccine without at all. So that's a very awesome innovation from an equipment point of view. So right now we have out of 20 companies we have built portfolio. 2 of them are in the medical
Kamlesh, we would like to catch up with you more later because we have a number of speakers. So I think these are very interesting thoughts that you mentioned with respect to innovation and our innovation. Yeah, so if you can.
Yeah. So I was done anyway. So my point is that challenge I want to give to SMRT is to produce a unicorn in India. Right now, out of 42, 44 unicorns, almost none of them is from the medical healthcare industry. None of them. So we can take as a big couple of unicorns from IIT Kanpur.
Yes,
Right?
and I think number of unicorns have come up in January. I think two were announced, one in US and one in India, and it's great going for companies which are now going into IPOs as well. So thank you, Kamlesh, and I think there's a lot to talk with you. Later, we will also have a follow-up session. May I welcome Alok Agarwal, CFO of Reliance Industries. Reliance, everybody knows. Alok, everybody knows. Alok, over to you.
Thanks, Pradeep. First, a confession, I had not heard of SMRT until 11 p.m. yesterday. And that is both, well, that's not so great, right? I mean, if you're trying to do something and we keep it so low under the radar that it creates its own challenges. I just have a couple of comments. I mean, the reason why I'm here is that I'm willing to offer time, help, my network, connections, in basically trying to raise resources for what we want to do here. I just don't know this business. I just don't know this industry. But I do know that if we are focused on research and innovation, and we have the right story, and more importantly, the right governance, which looks to be already there when I look at the board of advisors that are there. We need a group of, I always say, 4 to 6 like-minded people. I'm happy to be one of them, to really develop a plan to get this thing done. There are alumni from IIT Kanpur in every single major research or academic facility in the world. So the connections already exist. We just have to make sure that we put it to work. I just want to take another 30 seconds, and really 30 seconds only. One is that a lot is talked about CSR funds. I don't know what your experience is. I always find that CSR funds are the longest lead and, pretty tough to actually crack. Everybody says CSR funds, but very few companies actually allocate money from CSR funds, except some really small amounts. So I wouldn't put too much, it's a great place to start, but I don't think it gets to where we want to be. And the second thing I would just say is that the hospital project, I'm assuming it's separate from what is being talked about, right? Because 450 super specialty beds hospital cannot fit in the other research and innovation and lab aspirations that we have. So I'm just assuming it's a separate project. There are a lot of people who can, including people on your advisory board, who are very qualified to put a hospital project together, execute it, get it funded, and so on. But I'm assuming it's different from the research and innovation investment that we are thinking about. So I'm going to stop here. I'm here to help. I'm here to, if between Jayant and Kapil put together a group of 4 to 6 people, then we can all collaborate and get our network and connections and whom to call for what is it that we want to offer. All that together, happy to take out time. But I'm not from the industry. I don't understand it. All I know is it looks good enough to get it done.
Thank you. Thank you, Alok. I think I will take it offline. I'll definitely reach out to you, and I think Kapil will also talk. Just wanted to clarify your number one question. So we are talking of a School of Medical Research and Technology, which has both part, hospital as well as the centers of excellence in research. What I said is that the hospital will be, its operations will be run through a separate Section 8 company, but the centers of excellence will be like the part of the IIT Kanpur research ecosystem. The phase 1, 500 crores, 450 to 500 crores that I said capital investment is the phase 1 investment for both these included. But of course, as far as the centers of excellence are concerned, they will grow organically. They will bring in more research funding as we get the clinicians, doctors as a part of faculty in IIT, and they and along with our engineering and science faculty, they can write more research proposals. So so I think this is just to clarify your part, but we can actually discuss with you the whole detailed project report to give you a more detailed idea of both the costing financials as well as the governance model.
Thank you, Professor. We'll do it some another time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Alok, and good to hear from you and very clear ideas that how we should take it ahead. Next speaker is Anjali Joshi, who's been part of the product build and next billion users for Google. But then she's also been an investor based out of Bay Area and been interested in the healthcare and been investing in multiple healthcare startups. So I'd like to invite Anjali Joshi to share her thoughts.
Thank you, Pradeep, and thank you, Dr. Karandikar, for this excellent presentation. I applaud you both for your vision in bringing all of these pieces together, as well as the execution. I think the structure that you have set up seems really well thought out and well executed, and I'm hoping for great outcomes from the project, both the medical school as well as the collaboration with the universities. Just a couple points that I want to bring up is I think that the remarkable faculty that you have, both Dr. Bushra as well as Nitin, are working in excellent areas, and I'm hoping that you will recruit more faculty like that. And the other piece also, what I was heartened by is the incubator that you have set up in the two projects that you talked about, both the ventilator as well as the mask. I strongly believe that innovation is only as good as its reach. And today, the population of India, the top end, the top 100 or thereabouts, get excellent care from the great hospitals. But a large population, in fact, almost 1 billion people do not get quality care. So one of the things that the incubator should think about is how we can not only productize the innovations that are going to be coming out of this effort, but how can we increase the reach of it and make it affordable and accessible to a very large section of the population? So just that one comment that I'd like to leave you with. Other than that, I feel like this is a wonderfully thought about initiative, and I really, really like the ambitious nature of it. So congratulations, and wish you all the best. If there's any help that is needed, I would be happy to give you my connections at the universities here, or with researchers, or with people in the industry. So thank you.
Thank you, Anjali. I think I just wanted to respond to 2 points. Although, of course, here Bushra, Arun, and Nitin talked about, but we have a total of 20 plus faculty members now in biological sciences and bioengineering, and we are recruiting sort of more. The plan is to go to up to 30 in the next 1 to 2 years. So that is about the basic research. But different departments like chemistry and material science and chemical engineering, we have a total of about 50 to 60 faculty members who may be doing research in areas related to biology, medical science, and healthcare and medical technologies. And that is the strength of about 50 to 60 faculty members and about 150 to 200 PhD students working in this area, on the strength on which we would like to build this school of medical research in technology. I mean, that is the whole idea. Regarding your point of affordable healthcare, both in terms of access to the hospital, super specialty, and also to the technology, I think that has to be the one of the social objective of the institute. In fact, our ventilator project, the ventilator cost was priced at such a low level that the 900 hospitals that I talked about has been working. They have been all tier 2, tier 3 hospitals actually. None of them has been like the top corporate, and they could buy and afford this ventilator because it's almost 1/5 of the price of an imported ventilator that were available during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think this has to be, and I think thank you very much for bringing this, but I think this has to be one of the objectives of a public funded institutes like IIT when we venture it into such areas. So I think, yeah, thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Anjali, and thanks, Professor. So I think this time we've had more speakers also in the investment area and angel investing. So the next speaker is Ajay Gupta from Gupta Ventures, and he's been investing in multiple areas from AI to analytics around the health area. So I would request Ajay Gupta to share his thoughts and areas where he could really look at supporting.
Well, thank you, Professor Karandikar, for a great initiative. I've learned a lot just sitting through this talk. Much like everyone else, I was only made aware of this fantastic plan sometime yesterday or day before. And today I have also learned that IIT always had this bioengineering program, which was something completely new to me. I wasn't aware of that. So many congratulations on everything you have achieved in such a short amount of time, and especially great to see this ventilator being such a successful product in India. I mean, I would just say, chime in to what everyone else said about this being a much needed avenue for growth of the Institute and of the country. I think one of my personal observations is that we segregate our youngsters in India at too early an age to have them choose between either math or biology. Our brain is not exactly split in halves in that fashion. There's a fantastic amount of biology research and medical research that is being done by people with engineering degrees, with math and science degrees. And I applaud you for taking that step to take India in that direction. One of my introductions to that was through a friend of mine who's a physician, and I asked him what he did for his 4-year college, and he said he did mechanical engineering. It totally blew my mind that you can spend 4 years doing mechanical engineering and then become a medical practitioner thereafter. So in that vein, I would also urge, as you look at the phase 2 of the program, please create an avenue for people who have potentially engineering or science degrees to then become biology people, biology researchers. They don't have to be medical practitioners. There's so much to do in cancer biology and in AI and machine learning applied to radiology and so many other precision medicine areas that scientific and engineering minds can add a lot to biology. So I'm really excited about this initiative. It struck to me in a similar vein to a venture fund that I really admire here, Andreessen Horowitz. They talk about, Mark Andreessen talked about software eating the world. And then their new sort of play on those words is biology eating the world. And they talk about how computer science and biology have really converged. And this is a very kind of significant moment in time where the read, write, and execute facilities that we typically associate with software are actually to be found in biology now. We can clearly read a lot of data about human body from genomics to everything else. We are starting to write that data through CRISPR, through synthesizing RNAs. And if this mRNA vaccine is anything to go by, the execution capabilities are very much there now. We can insert a macromolecule into the cells that can create these proteins that generate the immune response to fight COVID. People who have been behind that sort of innovation, Professor Langer at MIT, who was a chemical engineer, started in this field ages ago, and everybody laughed at him saying, how can you even talk about delivering these macromolecule polymers into human cells? It doesn't work that way. He proved everybody wrong. He created the technology that we are all benefiting from now. And I really think IIT Kanpur has the talent to take innovations in those areas and make a name for India. I would agree that we would have to be very narrow and specific and generate a lot of success in a particular field to begin with, much like Israel has done with some of their innovation programs. And I would love to be a supporter, happy to provide collaboration here from the Bay Area, from some of the academic institutes, and from the venture ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay. I think you rightly said. In fact, that is our hope that, see, in India, as you rightly mentioned, that even the top medical institutes like All India Institute of Medical Science, they don't have the engineering and technology departments. And we believe that having, this blended knowledge and the movement, just like what is present in the US, we may be able to create a kind of school which can make a lot of impact in the country, definitely, and then we can take it globally next phase. I think that is really the idea. In fact, our vision is that it's just like in the engineering, students do branch change. After second year, they change branch from computer science, electrical engineering to computer science, or material science to computer science, and so on. Or they earn minor degrees, and they can also do double majors. It should be possible to sort of do that even with the medical program also. You took admissions in computer science, but somewhere down in the third year, you changed to the medical degree, and then ended up like as a doctor. This should be theoretically possible, but this is currently today almost impossible in India, because most medical institutions and engineering institutions are separate. And if they are brought together, like that is what we are envisioning, that it may become possible, I think.
Yep. Thanks, Ajay, also. So I think when Ajay was talking, I was just really looking at, and when you talk about science fiction, there were two things we thought we have heard always. One was space, and second was biology. So most of the science fiction was around different biological capabilities, other than the different space capabilities. So I think we are moving closer to science fiction as we hear many of our speakers speak. So that brings us to our next speaker, who's very popular, Sriram. So Sriram, I will just read out a little background. He's currently Govind Khurana Canada Excellence Research Chair in Precision Cancer Drug Design at the University of British Columbia. He has been earlier faculty of Johns Hopkins University and Cambridge University, and has held research position at National Cancer Institute. His research is focused on exploring frontiers of structural biology and drug discovery, with the key idea of accelerating development for effective therapeutic agents to treat cancer and disorders of the brain, and also many other infectious diseases. So over to you, Sriram.
Thank you very much. I'm just so incredibly thrilled to be here today. So Mukul Jain, thank you so much. Like everybody else, I only knew about this 2 days ago. And I cannot be happier to be here to hear about this initiative. And, we used to always say when we were there, IIT Ka tempo high. So this is seems to me exactly so in the same vein. My own journey was from a 5-year degree in chemistry to a PhD in physical chemistry. I switched to biology when I was at MIT, and over the years at the NIH, I switched into cancer. And now I'm, essentially, I head a group at the University of British Columbia in cancer research with a very translational mindset, which is, it's one thing there's so much wonderful research, but I think we need to bring it to people and bring it to the patient. And technology and AI and ML, there's nothing that happens today without AI and machine learning. But it needs to be married to biology and medicine in a meaningful way. So this is what drives me. And I'm just also about to launch a company that actually accelerates this process. So I am just thrilled to be even included in this conversation, and anything I can do to be part of it, to help, or to just be engaged would be a real honor. Thank you very much.
So any one or two thoughts from your side as how one could really help in this SMRT initiative?
People have touched on, Anjali touched on, having outreach, having a sufficiently, strong, having a plan to not just, help a few people at the top end of the spectrum. All of that is very good. You need money, obviously. But at the end of the day, these kinds of things are driven by people. You need a critical mass of motivated people who can speak this interdisciplinary language. It's no longer an engineering degree or a computer science degree or a molecular biology degree. You need people that can actually interact easily across these interfaces and disciplines. So I think focusing on recruiting the right people with the right mindset, and don't tell them what to do. Give them freedom to actually explore, and fund them as generously as needed. I mean, those are the ingredients of successful and innovative research, and certainly research that will have a real impact in society. I think those are things, if you look historically, those are some of the key features of successful places, that they get the best people and don't tell them what to do.
Excellent thoughts.
I think, thank you, Sriram. I think we will definitely involve you, I think, on this. You are like a key figure internationally. So we will, in fact, we would like you to visit sometime in the institute and
I'm very happy to come.
Yes. And I think, so I just wanted to touch upon the point which Ram mentioned, that our idea is to, as I mentioned, that which Alok has asked about, the funding. Our idea is to set up the 450 crores that I mentioned is just the initial thing. The idea is to set up these centers of excellence, and as Sriram rightly mentioned, that once the faculty members join here, both the clinical doctors and the faculty, they will then drive the research and get the research fundings and the further fundings, that is needed. I mean, that cannot be sort of put a number at this stage, right now, and that we expect to grow. But this is like, therefore, in the phase one is more like a seed thing to set up some basic infrastructure, and from there, it has to be primarily led by the researchers who are working.
Yeah, I would just say that I would think 10x. Think 10x
Yes.
to 50x of what
Yes.
the numbers you're talking about. So
Yeah.
This is small seed. I think you want to think big. If you want, and also, what's one of the earlier people, maybe Ajay or somebody said, I think you've got to be focused. You cannot be internationally number one at everything. But if you pick something, there may be a real play here. Actually, one other thing I want to mention is 1 year ago, I was in Bangalore. I was advising the Tata Institute. They had a 5-year or 10-year, so some long-term review of their programs. And I do know, in connection with the Tata Group, that they're planning a very large campus, most likely in Hyderabad, where they have already a small campus. And this campus was intended to be a new version of what TIFR was in Bombay. So they are thinking of investing big. I had some connection to Chandra, who's chairman of the Tata Group. I think these are just these are in an early phase, maybe building a connection with them, because they're thinking along the same lines, intersection of hospital, technology, engineering, science. This may be a very fertile area for partnership, where the strength of what the Tata Group does not have is people coming out of institutions like IIT, but they do have resources that may be very helpful for this initiative.
Okay.
Thanks, Shriyam. So the other question, which has always come in our meetings, and it is more like a chicken and egg, whether the research center comes up or the hospital comes up first. So that takes us to John Hopkins, and we invite Dr. Rajat Mittal as to what happened there, whether the hospital came first or the research center, and how it is evolving. Rajat Mittal work has had significant impact in the computational fluid mechanics. So it's a different thought process that is brought from fluid mechanics to biomechanics and controlling flow. And controlling flow leads to computational modeling and analysis of heart murmurs and formation of the blood clots. So this is also cross engineering, as we've been hearing about. So let's hear more from Dr. Rajat Mittal.
The other speakers are still on, and with a lot of excitement, I'm excited to be part of the group. I also learned about last night, so I'll just be trying to gather my thoughts. Very interesting presentation from the director. It seems like, so just actually let me just give you a little bit of background. So I got my bachelor's in aeronautical engineering from IIT Kanpur in '89. So my journey from aeronautical engineering to biomedical engineering goes through my love for fluid mechanics. And so over the last 10 or 15 years, a lot of my research has focused on cardiovascular technologies, surgical planning, simulation, software, modeling, as well as gastroenterology, and more recently on COVID transmission physics. And the research spans all the way from fundamental research to translational research, and we've started some companies, licensed technologies to larger companies. So I've been at the ground level of kind of seeing how collaborations between the medical school and the engineering side work. Johns Hopkins, of course, where I am right now, kind of laid the foundation of these kinds of interactions. Johns Hopkins actually started off as a very, very well-known medical school and still is the #1 medical school. And the engineering program actually developed around the kind of the medical campus. So in some sense, Johns Hopkins represents the exact opposite of kind of what IIT Kanpur is trying to do. I think it's useful to learn from experiences of different universities here in the US. This notion of actually adding biomedical engineering, biosciences, health sciences, and kind of tying up with medical schools is something that a lot of good schools here, some have done successfully and some have struggled. So even top universities like Cornell, Purdue, UC Berkeley, Virginia Tech, these are all schools that don't have their own medical schools, and they have tried with different varying degrees of success to actually build the kind of program that IIT Kanpur is building. So I think there is a lot to be learned about the experiences from these other universities. One thing, if you look across all these different schools that have tried building up these programs, is first of all, and I'm glad to see this in the director's presentation, is that a good, robust teaching hospital is an absolute essential part of any long-term successful medical science / engineering collaborative program. So I think that's absolutely kind of key. So it's good to see that there are plans in kind of the phase 2 to go to this having a teaching hospital, because you need that synergy between fellows, residents, and postdocs on the medical side, kind of working very closely with students and professors and researchers on the engineering side, because the two sides can have very different languages. It's very important to have minds on both sides kind of tackling the problem. And of course, having a teaching hospital, you need the patients to be able to give you problems. The problem often comes from actual treatment of patients. I think that's good to see that in phase 2. I would echo what some of the others have said. I think for this to be successful in the long term, and this is my 2 cents, ICAN will have to become excellent at 2 or 3 things and not good at 9 things. I think good at 9 things is not going to bring talent and patients to a place like Kanpur, actually locations, everything. So I think the plan should be somehow to become really excellent, world-class in 2 or 3 areas, such that even people like me, I'm Delhi originally, I would want to come to IIT Kanpur for a treatment of certain disease rather than go to AIIMS. I think that's where the path to success would be. So I'm happy to contribute anyway. Like I said, I'm at the ground level, kind of as a researcher and a collaborator working at Johns Hopkins, and I'll be happy to collaborate and talk to researchers at IIT Kanpur and help make connections and collaborations. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. So any question from Professor Karandikar?
No, I think I completely agree with what Rajat has said, and I mean, it is in our plan. And as far as I think focus areas and priorities are concerned, yes, I think we will be focusing on 2 or 3 areas in the initial phases as far as the centers of excellence are concerned. The 8 super specialty clinical departments that I talked about also have a bearing based upon the disease burden in the state of Uttar Pradesh and the Kanpur city around, which was brought out in the feasibility and the detailed project report that was undertaken by our consultant. So that is why they were listed. And yes, I agree that a teaching hospital is definitely critical, because I mean that's the whole idea. Sure, I think we are doing exactly opposite way than what John Hopkins has done, but ultimately, the idea is to have the synergy between the engineering departments and the clinicians. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think serving the local population, I think that's also absolutely critical for kind of the long-term viability of anything like that. So it's great to hear that thought has gone into the planning also.
Yes.
Thanks, Rajat. Good to have you here, and you helped clarify many of the questions that have been lingering on the minds. And that brings us to our next speaker, Ashish, Vice President, Venture Investment at Johnson & Johnson, and based out of Innovation Center in San Francisco. Ashish focuses on venture investment in biotechnology and diagnostics. And he has invested in more than a dozen ventures in biotech and diagnostic space. So please welcome Ashish.
Thanks, Pradeep. First, I would like to acknowledge a very good presentation by our director. It's very heartening to see that IIT Kanpur has expanded into biological sciences. I'm a chemical engineer from the 91 batch, and I recall at that point my interest in biological sciences. I could not do in the chemical engineering department, so I had to do my senior thesis in chemistry. So it's really heartening that over the last 20 years, the Institute has created a department and then is increasingly looking to create a medical school and so on. I am more than happy to devote my time and assist in any way I can. I would also like to acknowledge Jay Rawat and Tarun Bhargava, who represent our batch in the relationships with IIT Kanpur and devote a lot of their free time towards that cause. Let me briefly introduce my company and the venture group I work with. Johnson & Johnson is the largest healthcare company in the world. It's very diversified. It's a top 5 pharmaceutical company. It's the number 2 medical device company after Medtronic, and it's the number 3 consumer healthcare company. Most of you know us for our consumer products, such as the J&J brand of baby products, Tylenol, Motrin, Listerine, and so on. But J&J is also the company which marketed the first monoclonal antibody drug in the world, OKT3, in 1983. And today, monoclonal antibodies represent over $100 billion of global sales and has really made a dent in diseases like autoimmune diseases, cancer, and so on. I work for the venture capital group, which is called JJDC, which was established in 1973. And I've been leading biotech diagnostics data science investing globally for JJDC since summer of 2009. So almost 11 years now. We operate in the major centers of innovation globally. So the Bay Area, Boston, London, Tel Aviv, Shanghai, and we have our back office, as you would expect, in New Brunswick, New Jersey. We are one of the larger healthcare venture capital groups. We invest over $500 million in about 20 new investments every year. So our portfolio right now exceeds about $3 billion. And for the topics that were discussed by some of the faculty, I personally have invested in Grail, which is in the cell-free DNA space in Menlo Park, recently acquired, backed by Illumina. 2 months ago, I invested in a computational pathology company out of Memorial Sloan Kettering, which is looking at prostate cancer, breast cancer, and so on, led a growth round there. So again, our group has significant expertise in these spaces. I'm willing to assist in any way I can. I also want to mention the larger brand we created in 2012 called Johnson & Johnson Innovation. And with relevance to some of the efforts here, we run one of the largest network of healthcare incubators in the world. We have 11 sites in North America, 9 for biotech, 2 for medical devices, and 2 outside North America, 1 in Flanders in Belgium and 1 in Shanghai. In the last 8 years, out of our incubators, we have had 650 companies, right now resident about 300. These companies on an annual basis raise billions of dollars in venture capital and biodollars from collaborations. So again, we have a lot of expertise in running incubators, and our current portfolio of companies globally is over 150 investments. So thank you for the opportunity to be part of this, and I look forward to assisting the Institute in any way I can to move this SMRT initiative forward. Thank you.
Thanks, and we'll definitely be looking at some areas of collaboration with Johnson & Johnson with your help.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to connect. We cover India for historical reasons out of Singapore, but our India headquarters is in Mumbai.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you, Ashish. I think definitely, I think even our bio incubator, I think we should connect with the Johnson's innovation program.
Yeah, happy to. And Jay, who is on can knows how to find me, and I'm more than happy to assist because we work in the Bay Area with Stanford Biodesign, which is one of the globally leading medical device incubation programs. They have in India collaboration with AIMS, which was set up with funding with J&J. And at one point, we had looked at doing something with IIT Bombay, which was done in a pilot way. So there is some energy, especially on the device side, because devices probably is where we can make the most impact in India by decreasing the cost of the devices, but keeping the innovation at about the same level.
Yeah. So actually, we also are a part of this biodesign program, and I think I think it will be. I mean, we can talk separately, and we'll connect with the bio incubator here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ashish, and great to have you here. I would now request Sanjeev Ramdas, who has taken over responsibility of the Group Head Life Sciences and Technology for ITC. And he's been a long-term for ITC. He's been handling healthcare, quality, and he's master of projects. So please welcome Sanjeev Ramdas.
Yeah, thank you, Pradeep, and thanks for having me across. So I am from 1980, and I noticed some of my seniors. I noticed Mukul and Anjali there. So hello to you. So I've been with ITC. I'm a campus recruit in ITC, and basically a mechanical engineer. But about the last 10 years, I've been in agriculture. So I'm an oddity in the sense that I've spent a decade in agri. So I don't have immediate understanding of the area which Dr. Karandikar spoke of, but I've recently taken over the portfolio of, I'm the group head for research and development. So I'm getting into it. So we are running multiple programs and platforms. My two platforms which I work on from an FMCG perspective is health and wellness and hygiene. I think if some of you have used Savlon, etc., so these are some of the things that we are developing. And I think you people are aware of the antimicrobial resistance, etc. So we are working on some antimicrobial peptides, etc. I know it doesn't link immediately with whatever Dr. Karandikar said, but let me assure you, Doc, I've been coming to the Institute for the last 3 decades, perhaps the longest person who's been visiting, recruiting, and collaborating. I've been there. As I speak, I am in touch with your first, that is Nikhil, Amitabha is there, Rohini is there, and we're looking at collaborating in multiple other areas and making sure that your startups have exposure to the larger industry. So I like the aspect in your presentation where you talked of telemedicine, right? And when I am looking at developing our new version, eChopal, which connects the farmers, so I found that people create platforms which are supposed to serve certain needs, but we are building a platform where it is being built on the basis of trust and transparency and fairness. And once I create that sort of trust, you can send anything through that, is education or telemedicine. And believe me, telemedicine is something which I think Anjali also spoke about. It is perhaps the one which is required to reach the nooks and corners. So I work currently with around 6 million farmers, going up to now 10, 12 million in the next 5 years. So that reach is something which your center, your medical center, which you set up, could perhaps leverage, because We are spread right across India. We could offer huge insights into this area, and we could assist your entire center. And of course, any new areas in health and wellness, gut health, etc., are things which we look at. Anywhere we can perhaps collaborate. But notwithstanding your new initiative, I'm anyway in touch, and it's always a pleasure dealing with passionate people like Nikhil, with Amitabha, Rohini, who are after me day and night. But just to add to some of the things which have been said by some of the earlier speakers, please remember 450 crores, 500 crores is easy. Yeah? But talent is scarcer than capital. I think some of the earlier speakers did talk of it. So someone has asked me, what have I done 40 years in an organization? So I always tell them I'm a talent hunter. If you have the talent, anything will come. So I think that would be the single biggest issue, how to get people into Kanpur and how to not dilute your standard. Your institution is as good as the talent that you get. And I believe, whilst your model is opposite of Johns Hopkins, I have always believed that, by the way, I got all humanities, I got A grades. Engineering, we shall not talk about in this forum. But I've always believed that the holistic development has happened there, and your ecosystem is ready for, bringing in this new initiative of yours. So wishing you and your team all the best, and I'm available. I'll be in Delhi shortly. So I'll be a hop, step, jump from you. And I've always believed in supporting the alma mater, and I'm there to help you or any other person who may need my help. Thank you so much. And we will ensure that ITC also is there to help. The ITC chairman is 85 batch. Make sure you contact him and make sure you get enough out of him. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjeev. I think Sanjeev has been always helping our incubator. I think as he mentioned that he has been interacting a lot with Amitabha and Nikhil and the whole incubator team. And yes, indeed, I think we will reach out to Sanjeev Puri also to get whatever he can get from the ITC. But I think Sanjeev has also knows that we have. I mean, he has also worked with our Agri-Tech incubator that was set up with the support from Gates Foundation. And now just wanted to tell that we are bringing up this Agri-Tech incubator in our Noida Extension Center. A full building is coming up. So thank you very much. I think for all your continued support. And I think, as you rightly said, that any institution is as great as the people they are. So I think that is a key thing. And let me assure you that we will not dilute standards in hiring people for this, because that is how, the institute or whatever is the school that we set up can make an impact. I mean, otherwise, there are hundreds, such colleges also in the country. There are very good medical colleges in the country. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it's clear, get the right people in. And so we had more than one speaker talking about it. So great thoughts. Thank you, Sanjeev. And Atul Sharan has not been able to make it. He had to rush out for some emergency work. Founder and CEO of Cellmax Life, and will be working largely on cancer diagnosis and globally affordable, non-invasive tests. So we will catch up with Atul Sharan later. So that brings us to the next session of the program, where we have Kapil Kaul sharing the progress of the IIT DF Development Foundation and sharing the journey so far, what's happening and what he's looking for and what's the expectation. So thank you all from the alum side, and over to you, Kapil.
So I think just before Kapil starts, Pradeep, I just want to mention that with hiring Kapil, I think we want to revamp our development office and our engagement with all of you in a much more professional way than what is possible with teachers and professors like me. So Kapil has been in the industry for more than 3 decades, has worked in banks like ABN AMRO, HDFC, Standard Chartered, and then was hired by IIT Bombay. now that he has joined IIT Kanpur full time, I'm sure we will be able to meet the expectations of the donors, and also we will be able to raise resources for the institute. So yeah, Kapil, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Karandikar. So thank you, Professor Karandikar. Thanks, Pradeep. What I would briefly do is run you through. So I'm leading the fundraising for SMRT. Besides the fundraising for the institute, at this point of time, a lot of our focus is around SMRT. So I'll give you a quick update in terms of where we stand, how we've progressed, and how you could connect and help us reach through to your network. So what we are trying to raise, as Professor Karandikar mentioned, we are looking at 450 to 500 crores for the first phase. But in terms of our fundraising target, we're looking at 600 crores in the first phase to come through. And I'm glad to share with you that we've made some headway in this regard in the last, I would say, 3 months or so, last quarter. So to say, we have a reasonable amount of commitments which go up to, say, 106 crores, and we 110 crores, and we have some prospects in the pipeline where there are advanced negotiations, but we've still not got there in terms of signing or close to an agreement. So the pipeline there is around 106 crores. So it's like we're close to, I would say, 1/3 of where we want to be. So some organizations that are supporting us are listed below, but more importantly, from an alumni standpoint, I would say it's the batch of 1996 that met up for their Silver Jubilee reunion almost 3 weeks ago, and they have committed, they've pledged support of 20 crores towards this project. Again, a batch of 1984 has been generous enough. They're talking about doing a fundraising drive within the group, and Dev Juneja's been generous enough to commit a matching grant from his side to whatever the batch's contribution is. JK Group has come forth with their support, and it also is an alumni connection because their late chairman was an alumni of IIT Kanpur. There is another reunion that we had with the batch of 1976. From that, one of the alums has come forth and agreed to support with $2.5 million towards this project. So alumni have been instrumental so far. Even when I talk about IBM or Petronet, it is through alumni that we've been able to make an impact. So as Alok also pointed out, if we blankly go after CSR money, it's very tough. But if we have the right people, if we use the right network, it gives us some headway in that space. So I'll now run you through what are the various naming opportunities, how individuals, how companies can associate with this project in terms of giving. So the first one being the biggest opportunity that we see is the naming opportunity for this hospital, which is at 200 crores. So we're looking at if we can get a philanthropist to come through to support us on this piece. It will be very, very impactful for the whole hospital. The next piece is the department naming opportunities. So we have nephrology, neurology, cardiology, gastro, oncology, and of course the surgery suite, which is a large area in the hospital space. And each one is priced. Each one can be, the naming to each one can be acquired with the support of say 30 crores in the name of with the departments, and with the oncology department is going to be housed in a separate building in the hospital complex. So that's priced at 50 crores, I would say. Another thing which we're trying to do, and which is more linked to individuals, and we believe that it will be very powerful, is we're looking at creating this league of founders, an initial group of people, especially alumni and maybe some non-alumni, who come forth to support this project. And more importantly, we see this group as they will be the founders for life for this for SMRT, for this project that IIT Kanpur has created. And the starting one, the top tier, is Founders Circle, which would be only 4, and we already have one commitment from one donor to be a part of this group. And the 4 people who are a part of this group, besides the visibility and recognition on the campus and on websites in different spaces, they would also be a part of the advisory board of SMRT. Then the next, and this is at $2.5 million or 20 crores. And similarly, then we have principal founders, co-founders, and we're looking at having founding patrons. And each one come at 10 crore, 5 crores, and 2 crores. That's how it's stacked. Uh, uh, the important thing here is that this becomes an important pool for us in terms of, if people come together and become a part of this initiative, it gives us the initial support that we need to get the project moving. Because one of the critical things for us to execute this project is to generate funding, which will help us start building the infrastructure, and over the next, I would say, 2 years or so, to get this thing moving. The next piece we talked about is the centers of excellence that are a part of the SMRT. There are 9 of these at this point of time, and as we discussed, there would be some which will be far more focused to begin with, and we'll be talking about that. The COE naming opportunities, we have been focusing on taking it to corporate partners. If they can fund these centers of excellence, and they can have the naming rights to these centers of excellence, various centers that exist within the SMRT fold. We also have chair professorships. We intend to set up 10 chairs in this department, each with a funding of 2.5 crores. We'll also be coming up with a program for super specialty fellowships for younger doctors who become a part of this program. So what we expect from you and is that, see, this is an opportunity for each one in the alumni community to leave your legacy and make an impact by contributing to this project, either individually or collectively as a batch. And you can also help us in influencing the companies that you're a part of, or companies that are a part of your network, to support this project through their CSR programs, or also through the research programs. And also spread the word amongst your batch and community about, as we were just talking, that there are very few of you who know about this at this point of time. Our intent also is to create more visibility. We've been doing these UNI sessions, reunions, and they've been really, really helpful in terms of giving us inputs on how we should proceed. One is institutionally with this project, and 2 also in terms of our fundraising efforts, that the direction that we should be giving it. And I look forward to reaching out to many of you and working with you on raising more funds for this project and many other projects within the IIT Kanpur fold. So thank you very much, and I would stop here and be happy to take any questions.
So thank you, Kapil. And I think one of the things that he mentioned was the IIT Kanpur guys are far more informal and friendly than some other IITs, right?
Yep.
So I think this culture of informal and interaction has been going on, and it's great. And great to have this progress made, Kapil, in the last few months. It's a great job. And with this, thank you. And I will now invite Rajiv Swaroop to take over the Q&A and the next part of the program.
Thank you, Pradeep. Before I start the Q&A, I want to introduce two people who are in this call. Rajiv Ranjan, I think you're there. He is the president of IIT Kanpur Foundation, and Jay Rawat, who is the vice president. Rajiv or Jay, would you like to say anything here in terms of fundraising as to what you're doing from California and how you're supporting IIT Development Foundation?
I will let me say a sentence or two, then I'd like Jay to contribute as well. Glad to be part of this forum. So fantastic to see such a legendary alumni base from IIT Kanpur with so much accomplishments. As Kapil mentioned, a lot of agenda around fundraising, and a lot of it will come from USA. And Jay has that charter. So Jay, would you like to say a few sentences about it?
Sorry guys, I was not expecting to speak. I'm a little out of breath because I was on treadmill running while it's a health initiative, so I thought I should stay. But as you all have heard, this is just an incredible initiative that IIT Kanpur has taken, and in the leadership of Professor Karandikar and the advisory board, I'm very excited to be part of that. As Rajiv mentioned, that we have a new board for IIT Kanpur Foundation in the US, and over the next few weeks and months, we are planning to really create a very formal structure where we as alumni, we can really start supporting IIT Kanpur. And it's not just financially, but also through our time and through our expertise and through our network. So I would say, stay tuned, but we are really looking for all of your participation in this project.
Thank you, Jay. And do we still have Shamendra on this call? I think I see him. So Shamendra is the president of Alumni Association, taking charge just about a week back, Shamen. So I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts on SMRT and how Alumni Association can help the institute in this manner?
Yeah, thank you, Rajiv. So first of all, as you said, that I am just 1 week into the role, and so we are all battle scarred, trying to recover a little bit, due to campaigning, as you all know. So, I'm very impressed. This is the first one I attended. My apologies, last two I couldn't because we were all busy campaigning. I'm very, very impressed with the thought process and this process of connecting with the alumni of influence and then trying to use their network to spread the word and get some money for this project. Now, having said this, as I see, Kapil is there. Kapil has applied his mind. He has come up with some methodology of how he wants to raise money. I can only say at this stage, when we are still to get into the hot seat, if you may call it, to figure out how exactly we can contribute. But basically, we will do what Kapil would have done on his own in terms of being able to reach to people of influence in the industry, which obviously as alumni we will facilitate through our network. The field is open for us in terms of reaching to any company which is interested in looking at what this project means in relation to what they're doing. I would say that apart from prestige of being associating, people will also try to see if they can get some value out of this project at some stage in their time span. So maybe I need to learn a little more about what it will do, what are the tangible benefits from the corporates whom we can possibly approach through our alumni can get out of this project. And maybe that once we do this, then we will have a much more clear idea as to how we can support. But our intention and our desire is to help this project as much as we can. So with that, I think I may not be able to share any exact plan as of now, but surely in some time we will be ready with as to how we can support this. So thank you very much, Professor Karandikar, for a very clear, crisp strategy for this, and Kapil with very clear plan of raising money, and Rajiv and Pradeep for getting so many bright people together. And it's such a great, feeling of, remembering the good old days. I mean, not good old days, good days at IIT Kanpur. Yeah, thank you very much, and for letting me know. Yeah, thank you.
Just one last thing which I want to quickly say before you leave, that just think about how you can contribute and how you can help. Maybe you can just put some information in the chat window or through your batch coordinator, because I want to make sure that all of you have spent some time listening to this initiative. But before this topic dies in your head, please, take a few minutes before you leave and just think about how you can help and let us know.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much for this one. So this session has been quite interactive. So there are not too many questions, but there are just two questions which I've noted down, which I thought were still need to be addressed. One was, Professor Karandikar, this is about the question around what kind of degrees would IIT Kanpur be offering once SMRT phase 1 gets rolling?
Okay, so we are currently partnering with the National Board of Examinations. In fact, the National Board of Examinations Executive Director had already visited IIT Kanpur, and they will get degrees like DNB or DNRP in super specialty, and of course MS and PhD from which are already the degrees are there in IIT Kanpur. Then we will initiate the DM and MCH degree, for which we require regulatory approval from the National Medical Council or National Medical Commission. Finally, as I had written in our roadmap, we have a plan to introduce MD, MS, PG degrees, and if everything goes well, maybe undergraduate degree also. All those degrees will be awarded by IIT Kanpur, and for that, as per the current regulatory norms in India, we need accreditation from and approval from the National Medical Commissions. But before that, we will tie up with the National Board of Examination, because tying up with the National Board of Examination will not require the approval from the National Medical Commissions. So incidentally, I think the regulations on this were streamlined recently by the government, and the National Medical Council has been set up where most members are all doctors. For some reason, I have been made as a director. IIT Kanpur is also a member of the National Medical Council of India. So I am a director. IIT Kanpur is an ex officio member. I do not know what was the reason for putting up the director IIT Kanpur as a member there. But yes, currently, yeah.
So there's another question related to education, and that is, would IIT Kanpur be, this is from Sunil Kumar Gulati, who is IAS of 84 batch, and the question is around, would IIT Kanpur be using IT for virtually training a large amount of health givers for diagnostics and expanding the healthcare reach?
Yes, I think we can. I mean, of course, it is not currently built into our plan in what I presented, but something I think we can certainly look for, that the use of information technology to that. In fact, we would like to partner with the current also, the use of IT for the National Digital Health Mission, which the government has currently embarked upon. So this is something, yes, we can certainly explore that, how our expertise in IT and computer science can be used for providing affordable health care to large number of people. And I think what Mr. Gulati is saying, to take care of the elderly people. But increasingly, actually, it has been found that the technology can be used to provide affordable health care to large number of people who may not have access to the healthcare systems. And in fact, the UP is one such state where we could actually become a sort of a center to provide those kind of social outreach.
There's a message from Anil Jori, and he has offered help. He is connected to AMBI, which is the Association of DNB Institutions, and he has offered he can help in making that connection. One last question is around does IIT Kanpur have enough land for setting up these kind of projects? And related to that is that, of course, we have 1,100 acres, so that's a huge amount of land mass. But the other question related to this is, by building it in IIT Kanpur campus, would we be reducing our green cover?
No. So let me just tell you two things. One thing is the current green cover of IIT Kanpur is more than the green cover of those who graduated in 1981. So that much I can tell you. We have a tree count, so I can tell you this. That is number one. Number two is that I showed in the IIT Kanpur map the 25-acre plot which has been earmarked for this project. Currently, not a single tree exists on this land, so we don't have to do any tree cutting, and that is why that plot has been chosen. Also, I think we are now going for, in the expansion, we are also going for demolishing the old building and instead creating multi-storied complexes. For example, for the faculty residences, we are creating currently 2 blocks of 56 apartments, which are being created by demolishing the type 5 quarter 6 type 5 quarters which existed behind the director's bungalow. So there is a plan that some of the old residential buildings which were bungalows, they may have to be demolished and multi-storied complexes may have to be created in order to better use of the footprint, I think.
Thank you, and let me also assure everybody here, because I'm part of the infrastructure committee on this one, that all the heritage building, if I may use that word, the faculty building, the lecture hall complex, the library, the hall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which have been there at our time, they're going to be preserved. So I think all the expansion which is being done is with that in mind, that academic area, the core one, is not disturbed. So rest assured, your emotions don't get disturbed there. So with this, we come to the end of this program. I'd like to really thank everyone who came in this UNI. This is the third session. And I'm observing that with every session we are improving and we're getting more and more people engaged, and the kind of conversation which we've been having is very, very encouraging. And the support which we are seeing from the alumni for the SMRT is very, very encouraging. I think it will go a long way. I do like to thank Professor Karandikar because he has been continuously spending a couple of hours every UNI session. This is the third one. He's a constant person in this particular event to come there and support us and talk to all the alumni. I'd like to thank all the batch coordinators because without that, we would not have got everyone here. I did hear a comment from some people that they got to know about this event last night. We will try and improve that. Our next session is on 20th of March, which is going to cover all the remaining batches from 93 to 99, the ones which are not covered. And we'll make sure that there's enough time for people to actually know about this event. And with that, I want to thank everyone and wish good night or good day. Have a happy weekend. And we meet again on 20th of March for the next UNI. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I just want to thank everyone for all their time and support, and we look forward to interacting with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.